Hi there, we are back once more and we're gonna start populating the intelligence section. Make sure you unplug your battery before you continue on. You do not want to leave your battery connected because if one of these, the bottom, touches each other, you can short stuff. So that is bad idea. So unconnect your battery and we'll continue on. For this section, we're going to use the DIP socket, DIP socket, and that's where you will connect your microcontroller, which will connect at the very end. You got this large electrolytic capacitor. This capacitor here is polarized, like the give me a second, the LEDs that we connected earlier. We'll go over that for a second. We're going to be using the 3 resistors, 3 different values, which we'll go over, and we'll be using headers. This is what these are called. These are called headers. These will be inserted in, and they will have little legs sticking out, which are intentional. That's where you would stick other parts, or you will make connections to those, either through programming it or external, or connecting your motors or other peripherals. So we're going to use those, and then we're going to use 2 more capacitors that are labeled 104. We're going to use 2 more of those. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to populate this area here. I'm not sure if you can see that there. We're going to populate this area. Here you have R5, R6, R7, and then C12. C12. So R's, the ones that have R's are for resistors, which are these here. Not sure if you can see that there. Those there. So those will be placed in here depending on what the schematic says. And R5 will be the 100 ohm. So that'll be brown, black, brown. So you look at your resistors, and the way resistors are measured, different resistances. Not all resistors are the same. They have a coded system where, depending on what colors are on there, determines what values. So 100 ohms will be brown, black, brown, and then you'll see a gold band on there. The gold band is for the tolerance, not necessarily very important for this project here. So we're going to use a brown, black, brown, and then we will put it in R5. So we will bend it a little bit, and then we're going to insert it in here, and then we're going to push it all the way through, and then now you have the R5 in there. You can see it in there. The little legs are sticking out. Next is R6, which is 1K, and on here 1K is brown, black, red. So you look for brown, black, red, which is this one here, and then you do the same process. Bend the little legs over, and then you put it through the PC board, the PCB board. Put it in there. R7, which is the next one, is 4.7 kilo ohms. And then that one is a yellow, violet, red, I believe. Give me a second. Yes. And then you do the same thing. Put it in there. Nice and careful. And then you put that in there. So as you can see on here, we got the 100 ohm, we got the 1 kilo ohms, so that's with a K, and you got the 4.7 kilo. So that's, kilo means 1000. That's where those will go in. These resistors are not polarity dependent. So if you put them in this way, or if you flip them around and you put them in the other way, it's the same thing for resistors, so you don't have to worry about that. And with these capacitors, it's the same thing. These capacitors. So C12 is the numeric value, or the numeric code of 104. That's not necessarily the value of it, but that's the code. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to solder all of these, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, we are back, and I have soldered on these 3 resistors and this capacitor. Next thing we are going to do is we are going to solder this this is a dip socket for the microcontroller, which is the brain. This is the microcontroller. This is the DS-PIC33F and the longer serial number. But this is a DS-PIC33, and this is what will be controlling your device, and this is what we will be programming in the future. The way this works is that this is soldered on there permanently, and the PIC is inserted in there and pushed in very carefully, and that's how it stays in there. And the reason behind this is if you were to solder this on there, and these PICs are very fragile, but if you take care of them, they'll last you a very long time. But the reason in electronics is that these are placed on there is that you could remove these fairly easy in comparison to desoldering all of these, which is really difficult if you're soldered, which you will be soldering now, and you understand me for that. So this is how most electronics are, and chips are not necessarily polarized, but they have to go in a certain way, because you see how it has a lot of little legs. You don't want to put it in the wrong way, and the way that this is set up is if you look at the chip, and most chips will have a little dip on here. This little dip indicates what side you're on. This is a good reference. And they also have a little dot, which indicates the one. But if it doesn't have the little dot and it only has like a little dip, like someone like bit into it a little bit, you start off on the left if this little dip is facing that way, away from you, and you start off with 1, 2, 3, and you count all the way around, and then you keep counting this way, so like a U, keep counting. If you look on the board, you'll see numbers as well. That's where these numbers come from. And on the dip, it has a little wedge here, like someone bit into it as well. And that's where that goes in, if you can see the white markings. So you carry that on through so that you'll know what side it goes, so there's no confusion. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this in nice and slowly and make sure it fits in. Usually if these are bent, make sure you bend them completely straight to where they are all in line. That is very important. And you wanna make them to where all of them go in. You don't wanna force it in. You wanna make it to where it goes in very nicely. You don't wanna bend these. So we're gonna place this in there, and we're gonna place it in there like so. The same thing along those lines, we're gonna use the headers. What we mentioned earlier, these are the headers, and we're gonna be placing them here, here, and here. So it'll be J16, J17, and J10. And by the J's I mean this is the square where they will be going in. If you look on the PCB board, that's how they're numbered. And if you count them, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them. So you'll count here as well, 6 of them, and then you'll snap 6 of them off because this is like 12. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you come down here. You either snap them with your hand, but as you can see here, that I actually broke 5 of them. So use needle nose pliers to make it easier. I'm gonna redo that there. Use needle nose pliers like the ones here, and actually hold on to it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you snap that off. That's a lot neater. Granted, if you do come across and you do actually break off these, you could cut that extra one off and you could solder it on there as well, which will be a bit difficult, but it's doable. It's still doable, so don't worry about that there. But for this video, I'm gonna use the whole one with 6. And then you're gonna put it in there, and then you're gonna come again, and you're gonna do the same thing with this one here. The other side is 6 as well. You're gonna put it in there, and you're gonna go grab another one, another of the 6 headers. I mean 12 pin headers, and you're gonna cut off 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're gonna snap it off, and you will place it there. Place it there. So now we have 6 headers, 6 headers, 6 headers, and they're nice and firm there. And we will be soldering those on there, and I'll get back to you. Hi there, we are back once more, and as you can see, the headers, 3 headers have been populated and soldered, and the microcontroller dip socket is soldered on there as well. You can see there. Next thing we'll be doing is we'll be populating C11 and C9. Those are the capacitors. C11 is the 0.1 microfarad, which is the smaller one, which is the 104, which we've used. So we put it in C11, and then next thing we go over to the C9, which is the 10 microfarad, and this is the capacitor that we're talking about here. Going along the same lines as we did earlier with the LEDs, with the light emitting diodes, the long lead is a positive and the short lead is a negative. These capacitors do need to go a certain direction, or else they will not be very happy and your project won't work, more than likely. So you need to put them the right way. So that's C9. One other way to identify which side is which on the capacitor is if you look at the capacitor and you see a stripe on one side. The stripe on the side where it has that side is actually the short side, which is also the ground, the negative. That'll be the negative section of the capacitor. So recap, there's 2 ways. You find the line, the white stripe, that's the negative, or the short lead is a negative. And then you put it in here. And as you can see, it's labeled on here as well, but this is on the PCB board. So negative, short one is negative. You find the negative, and then you put it in there. Put it in there, carefully. Push it in there, nicely, and you solder both ends. And once you solder both ends, that'll be the end of the intelligence section. That's above the dotted line. So we'll get back to you.